Green Team Media.
So you said something the other day that I keep rolling over, which is when you approached the script, you said the main characters are these three whales,
Right.
and everybody else takes a back seat.
Right.
How so?
Well, there's so many storylines. You've got oil companies, you've got the Inupiat people, the Eskimos, you've got a character from Greenpeace, reporters, a media circus, Minnesotans, and the thing is they're all descending upon this hole in the sea ice above Barrow, and the thing is none of their stories will mean anything or resonate or grab you unless they're all revolving around this single emotional point, and that is that there are three animals that we care about that are going to die unless something is done immediately. And what's frustrating, what's powerful about the story is there's no obvious solution as to how to get them out of this predicament.
How do all those people that you talked about put their agendas aside long enough to help?
Well, no one puts their agenda aside immediately. Everyone goes into it with an ulterior motive. John Krasinski's character, for instance, sees the whale rescue as a way to his ticket to get out of Alaska and get a great job as a reporter in the lower 48. And he's just one of many who all have their own agenda. It's not until each of these characters actually has a connection to the whales that they sort of move past that and sort of find common cause and are able to solve the problem together. It doesn't happen immediately. Even the boy, Nathan, at the beginning of the picture, he couldn't care less about the whales. He couldn't care less about his native, the indigenous culture of the Inupiat people. He would love nothing more than to get the heck out of Alaska and live in the lower 48. By the end of the picture, he is completely transformed, and it's because of his connection with those three whales.
You know, Kristen's character, Jill Gerard, is probably the only one that's up front who's sort of in service of herself.
Right. Well, what's interesting in the film is there's a triangle, and it's not a traditional love triangle in any way. And in fact, that's what I like about it. That John used to date Drew's character, Rachel Kramer. He's also smitten with Kristen Bell's character, both professionally and personally. And over the course of the story, he sort of drifts between the two of them, both in terms of his romantic interest, but also in terms of what each of them stands for. And Kristen's character stands for ambition, career at all costs, and she lures John in a way because he wants that too. He wants to succeed. Drew, on the other hand, represents putting yourself at the service of a cause. And Drew, who's passionate, can sometimes, Drew's character, who's passionate, can sometimes be her own worst enemy. But what happens in the picture is that John makes a choice. He makes a choice for Drew over Kristen and everything that Drew represents.
The amazing part is when people get out of their own way, their instincts are so good.
I think that Drew's character is a perfect example. She's passionate, she's driven, but she is her own worst enemy. She wants to save the world, but she doesn't realize that it comes at a cost, and it wreaks havoc on every personal relationship she has. And I think what happens over the course of the story is that she manages to get out of her own way, and it's when she does that she's able to be at her most effective as a Greenpeace activist.
What was your biggest joy in making this film?
Oh my gosh. Well, there were many joys. It was brutal. Shooting was brutal, and I loved every minute of it. The greatest joy was just being able to be out on that ice field set, this enormous, unwieldy set, with a huge ensemble cast, and again, many of them had never been in a film before, and just sort of be able to see how connected everyone was to this, these three whales in this hole.